actually say each name out loud. And we kind of just honor, that's just a time for us to honor them, to come together, and to not just raise awareness of what's happening, but to really understand the depth that and reach that it has across our community. This year in particular, though, we have to do things a little bit differently. We, because of COVID have decided not to meet in person for those vigils. Instead, we're going to be doing a video montage that we're going to be releasing live on Facebook, and that will be released on October 29th. And we are asking that before October 20th, all of our friends and supporters send us still images of anyone in your group that might be willing to take a picture, just wearing purple or holding up a proclamation, showing your support for the community. And if you can get those into us by the 20th, we can put those on our video montage and show the world how much support we're getting and hopefully get some more. I will say that you can contact me with those photos. My email should be with the city secretary, but it's outreach@safeseguin.org. And again, you can release those. The deadline is the 20th, but we won't be releasing the video until the 29th. So anything in between that, we can probably work in. Just communicate with us beforehand. But we would love that outside support from y'all. More importantly, though, I just want to thank you. I want to take this time to thank you again for having me and for not only continuing to host our services in your community, but also continuing to help us promote those services and to support our presence in the community across the board. We're doing some big things here. We continue to strengthen our relationships with the agencies that are involved in our coordinated community response team, and that includes the Sheriff's Office, the local PD, the Child Advocacy Center, CPS, the DA's office, the county attorney's office. Lots of different agencies in the community are part of this team, and we continue to strategize with them and build upon our practices so that we're implementing the best practice across the board in terms of fluid response to these types of situations, these really serious, heavy situations. And because those types of situations affect communities in so many different sectors, we are just incredibly grateful for the support that you continue to offer us in hosting our services here. So thank you very much for your time in that.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Any comments or questions by the council?
Yes, I have a question, Madam Mayor. Ms. Henry, do you have a card?
I do. I brought some cards.
I would appreciate one before you leave.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, what happens to the people that do not do website? How can they get the, that's why I want the card. Do you have a phone number where they can call, or how do y'all advertise that?
Yes, ma'am. We have a couple of different phone numbers that we give out as well. One is our hotline. It's a 24/7 crisis line where an advocate waits to answer any questions you might have or hear your story or maybe point you in the direction of resources you might be in need of. We also have a business line, and our hotline, just for the record, is 1-800-834-2033. And our business line is 830-372-2780. As far as the hotline here in Wilson County, it feeds into our 24/7 hotline in Seguin. So anything that is not answered over here will roll over to that hotline. And that Wilson County number, I believe, is 830-499-8454.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other comments before I open the floor for a motion?
I do want to just let you know that in addition to the business cards that I brought along with me, I also brought some purple awareness ribbons that I'll leave behind. And any photos that are submitted, we would love to see y'all wearing those ribbons if you can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If no other questions, I will entertain a motion to accept the proclamation.
I move to approve proclamation 2020-006, Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Month.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any citizens' comments?
There are none, Mayor.
Thank you. If not, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you so much for that vote. And let me go ahead and go over the proclamation officially. Whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy and dignity, security and humanity due to systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse, including abuse to children and the elderly. And whereas the problems of domestic violence are not confined to any group or groups of people, but cut across all economic, racial, and social barriers, and are supported by social differences. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole here in this community, throughout the United States and the world. And whereas women are not only targets, young children and the elderly are also victims. And sadly, emotional scars are often permanent, and domestic violence costs the United States company at least $3.5 billion in lost work time, increased health care, higher turnover, and lower productivity. And whereas it is battered women themselves who have been in the forefront of efforts to bring peace and equality to the home. Now, therefore, I, Cecilia Gonzalez-Dibble, Mayor of the City of Floresville, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and call all citizens, community agencies, religious organizations, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our effort to prevent domestic violence, thereby strengthening the communities in which we live. Thank you so much, and I will be signing this declaration, this proclamation. Thank you, Council, for voting on that.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to item 3C, consideration and action to approve the turnaround plan. I will turn it over to our city manager.
Yes, Mayor and City Council. We have presented this before in draft format. The most important thing on this turnaround plan, it is required, as we have told our auditors that we will do so. We'll provide a letter to our financial advisor, Victor Quiroga, as well as our auditors, as part of what we need to do going forward. This is similar to the plan that we had before, but what's key is that we inserted all of the items that Victor recommended in his report that he did for us back in July when we first started our budget workshop session, to include everything so that we can take care of what the S&P is looking for. And we wanted to make sure that we look at those items and put that as part of the plan. We will need you to approve the plan so that we can move forward. And Cindy is familiar with the plan, is that correct, Cindy?
Yes.
And so these are the kind of things that we're going to monitor going forward so that we can make sure that we're on the right road for a turnaround plan for the city of Floresville.
Thank you. Any questions or comments by the council pertaining to the turnaround plan?
It looks good, Ms. Turner. The turnaround plan looks very good.
Thank you.
Any other comments by council?
I just have
If
a
not,
comment.
I will entertain a motion.
Okay, never mind. Mayor, I have a comment.
Yes.
No, I was just going to say that I also agree this is a good plan, Ms. Turner, and you've hit on multiple points that have stemmed from the audit recommendations. So I think, moving forward, we'll see improvements.
If I could, Councilwoman, we have been doing some research, really trying to put our heads together. And between the City Secretary, myself, the attorney, and Cindy, we found that we're going to have to find us a new auditor. You are only allowed to use an auditor according to our charter for about 5 years, and now we've used this one in excess of 5 years. But we will be putting them on notice in reference to that we have done the turnaround plan. And so sometime in early January, we'll be asking for proposals from different ones, but we will not be able to entertain them back because they've exceeded the 5-year term.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments by council members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the turnaround plan.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded. Any citizens' comments?
There are none, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. If none, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you for the vote.